The United States of America economy. What exactly is the U.S. economy? Before we start, please make sure to subscribe on the channel and like the videos. Thank you. The U.S. economy is the largest national economy in the world, with a gross domestic product (GDP) of around $22 trillion. It is a mixed economy characterized by private enterprise and government intervention. The economy is driven by a diverse range of industries, including finance, healthcare, technology, and manufacturing. The U.S. is also home to some of the world's largest companies, including Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. The Federal Reserve is the central bank of the U.S. and plays a critical role in managing the economy. The Fed uses monetary policy tools to influence the money supply, interest rates, and inflation. The U.S. government also plays a role in regulating the economy through fiscal policy, which includes spending, taxation, and borrowing. The U.S. economy has experienced significant growth over the past few decades, but it has also faced challenges, including the Great Recession of 2008. The unemployment rate is currently around 6%, and inflation is at around 2%. The COVID-19 pandemic has also had a significant impact on the economy, with many businesses closing and millions of people losing their jobs. Overall, the U.S. economy is complex and constantly evolving, with a mix of strengths and challenges. Facts about the U.S. economy. There are a few key components of the U.S. economy. These different economic indicators help us understand how the U.S. economy is doing. Gross domestic product (GDP) $25.66 trillion. GDP growth rate 2.6%. Real GDP per capita $60,082. Gross national income $23.4 trillion. Unemployment rate 3.7%. Federal minimum wage $7.25 per hour. Currency United States dollar. Euro to dollar conversion average of $1. U.S. economic measurements and what they mean. Gross domestic product (GDP) is the measurement used to quantify everything produced in the U.S. It's used in three other measurements to help economists gauge the country's production. Nominal GDP. This is an annualized figure showing a country's production level using current prices without compensating for inflation. Real GDP. This does the same, but it removes the effects of inflation. Economists use it to compare GDP over time. GDP growth rate. This ratio uses real GDP to calculate the growth rate compared to the previous quarter or year. There are four components of GDP. Consumer spending. This component equals about 68.5% of the total amount. Business investment. This component includes manufacturing, real estate construction, and intellectual properties. Government spending. This includes federal, state, and local expenditures. Net exports. This includes exports that add to the nation's productivity and imports that subtract from it. Major influences on the U.S. economy. The U.S. budget is total federal income and spending. The government receives most of its revenue from income taxes. Most of its spending goes toward three large expenses: Social Security benefits, military spending, and Medicare. There's a budget deficit when spending is higher than revenue. The federal government has had a deficit every year since 1970 in all but 4 years, 1998 through 2001. Each year's deficit is added to the debt. The U.S. national debt was about $31.3 trillion at the end of October 2013. That's more than the country's entire economic output. The statistic that describes this is the debt-to-GDP ratio, which was about 122% at the end of the third quarter of 2022. Economists have proposed that a developed country will enter a phase where each increase of 1 percentage point of debt decreases annual average real growth by 0.017 percentage points when a nation's debt to GDP grows to more than 77%. But a 1 percentage point increase in debt actually increases annual average real growth if a country manages to stay below that 77% debt to GDP threshold.